The movie begins with a blonde woman named Beth driving at night while talking on her phone. Suddenly she loses signal and hears the sound of glass breaking.
Baby?
When she checks her phone, she notices that the screen has developed a large crack. Meanwhile, a group of friends is gathered at a house preparing dinner together.
And now
I had my juice and my smoothie earlier today. But I'm going to eat tonight.
Yeah, little thing,
I'm going to
yeah.
eat and I'm going to drink and I'm going to have a great time.
Beth arrives carrying a bottle of wine and tells everyone about her phone screen cracking for no apparent reason. She jokes that it might have something to do with the comet passing overhead, but nobody takes the idea seriously.
On the news, they're talking about the comet.
Yeah, I don't think it's the comet. If you have Skype, it uses the
No,
Hollywood
the internet.
one.
Hey, do you want some wine?
A short-haired woman, Nancy, brings out a small vial of drugs and says it might help everyone relax, but Beth declines. Nancy then notices a plant in the house and asks about it.
Where'd you get this?
Galaxy, that thrift store?
Soon, the doorbell rings. Beth's boyfriend, Joshua, arrives along with a bearded man called Robert, who happens to be Nancy's husband. As people continue chatting, Beth and her boyfriend talk a little about their future plans together.
I just need to think about it a little bit longer because...
If you don't say yes, it becomes a no.
Not long after, a bald man named Paul arrives with a dark-haired woman called Bonnie. Things become a little awkward because Bonnie is the ex-girlfriend of Joshua. As everyone sits down for dinner, Robert asks whether anyone still has a signal on their phones. Everyone checks and realizes that none of them have service. Bonnie then asks Beth about her job. Beth talks about a ballet production she worked on and explains that she missed out on the lead role because she took too long to make a decision. After telling the story, she becomes noticeably quieter. A little later, Robert notices that his phone screen is cracked as well. Beth points out that the exact same thing happened to her phone earlier.
Oh my God! And I was just holding mine in my hand. Exact same thing.
So nobody's phone works? No?
Once again, she wonders if the comet could somehow be responsible, but the others dismiss the idea. Robert then asks whether the house has a landline phone or internet connection. He explains that his brother, who is a physicist, told him to contact him if anything unusual happened while the comet was passing.
I need to get a hold of my brother.
Unfortunately, there is no internet and no way to make contact. Then, without warning, the power goes out.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
The group quickly looks for sources of light and lights several candles around the house. To help everyone see in the dark, Paul brings out boxes of glow sticks and places them on the table. Each person takes a blue glow stick as they settle in and try to make sense of the strange situation. Paul steps outside to check what is happening and quickly notices that the entire street has lost power. The only exception is a single house in the distance that still has its lights on.
See that? That one house has light.
They must have a...
While they're standing outside, they also notice the comet moving across the night sky. After a few moments, they head back inside. Once they return, they discover a broken drinking glass sitting on the table. Nobody is sure how it broke. Since the phones still aren't working, Robert suggests going to the house with power to see if he can borrow a phone.
Thinking of going over there.
Most of the group thinks it's a bad idea, but Paul offers to go with him, so he doesn't have to go alone. The two men leave together while the others stay behind. Back inside, everyone sits around the dinner table waiting for them to return. To pass the time, Bonnie asks Beth to tell them more about the strange comet stories she mentioned earlier. Before the conversation can go very far, they hear a loud knock at the door.
1903.
The sudden noise surprises everyone. Joshua grabs a baseball bat and carefully checks outside, but when he opens the door, nobody is there. A little while later, the lights suddenly come back on. Bob reveals that he managed to get the generator running, and everyone is relieved.
Okay.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nancy suggests that they should go look for their two friends now that they have some light again. Just then, Joshua checks the door and sees Paul and Robert returning. When the two men enter the house, everyone immediately notices a fresh-looking scar on Robert's forehead.
Are you okay?
Paul places a metal box on the table and explains that Robert was carrying it when they came back.
You just took it?
However, Robert looks confused and insists that he wasn't carrying any box at all.
What is it?
Like,
I
what are you
don't
doing?
know. I don't know.
The group gathers around as Paul begins explaining what happened during their trip to the other house. While he talks, Bob carefully opens the metal box. Inside are several random objects along with photographs of everyone in the group. On the back of the photos are numbers written in marker.
What is going on?
These are pictures of all of us.
The strange contents of the box make everyone even more curious. They start asking Robert what exactly he saw at the other house. At first, he seems reluctant to answer. Eventually, he admits that when he looked through one of the windows, he saw something impossible. According to him, he saw another version of their group sitting around a dinner table doing exactly what they had been doing earlier that evening.
I went to the window and I looked in the window, wine glasses and candles, and I saw...
There. I did not go in a circle.
Nobody believes him. The story sounds ridiculous, and most of the group assumes he's mistaken. Paul backs up part of the story. He explains that nobody answered the front door of the house, so Robert walked around to the side and started knocking there instead. As soon as he says this, the others remember the mysterious knocking they heard earlier while waiting inside. They point out that the timing matches perfectly. If that's true, then the knocking they heard may have been Robert himself. Feeling frustrated that nobody believes him, Robert leaves the room for a while. Meanwhile, Beth and Bonnie continue examining the photos that were found inside the box, trying to figure out what the numbers mean. A little later, Robert announces that he's going back to the other house. Nancy tries to stop him, but he refuses to change his mind. He says he still needs to make a phone call. Before leaving, he sits down at the table and starts writing a note on a piece of paper. A few moments later, the doorbell rings.
Oh my God.
At the door?
Oh, there's a big guy at the door.
Once again, Joshua grabs the baseball bat and cautiously opens the door. This time, he finds a note taped to the outside of the door. He removes it and starts reading it aloud. As he reads, Robert suddenly freezes and stares at the paper in shock. The note being read at the door is exactly the same note that Robert is currently writing at the table. The discovery of the note leaves everyone stunned. While everyone tries to process what just happened, Nancy and the woman with glasses take Robert into the kitchen to clean up the cut on his forehead. Back at the dinner table, the rest of the group focuses on the photographs that were found inside the metal box. They are still trying to figure out what the numbers written on the backs of the photos mean.
A 2, we are 4, 5, 6. Where are these from? 6. Do you have any red markers?
Paul takes a closer look at his photo and notices something strange. He points out that the picture must have been taken that same evening because he's wearing a sweater that he only recently bought. This raises an even bigger question. If the photo was taken recently, how did he not notice someone taking it? The others find this confusing because, in the picture, Paul appears to be looking directly at the camera. It seems impossible that he wouldn't remember posing for the photo or even seeing the person holding the camera. Unable to come up with any answers, the group drifts away from the table to think things over. Only Beth and her boyfriend remain behind. As Beth studies the photos more carefully, she compares the numbers written on the back to some notes she had previously written with a red marker. To her surprise, the numbers match exactly. This suggests that the photos and the notes are connected somehow, though she still isn't sure what it means. A little later, everyone gathers together again to discuss what to do next. Bob suggests going back to the other house to confirm whether another version of themselves is really there. Most of the group is uncomfortable with the idea and argues against it. However, after some discussion, Beth, her boyfriend, Bonnie, and Bob decide to investigate for themselves. The four of them head outside. The entire street is still dark, and the only light comes from the blue glow sticks hanging around their necks. As they walk through the neighborhood, Bob notices his own house nearby and briefly goes over to check it out.
My house. Let's get out of here now.
While making their way back, the group encounters something unexpected. They see four people walking around with red glow sticks around their necks. The sight is unsettling because it suggests that there may be another group moving around the neighborhood at the same time. When the four return to the house, they immediately tell everyone what they saw. Nancy struggles to believe it and insists that it can't be possible. The whole situation is becoming harder and harder to explain. Beth adds another observation. She says that while they were outside, they noticed a section of the street that seemed darker than the rest.
This weird zone that's even darker than the rest of it all.
Robert and Paul exchange looks and admit that they walked through that exact area earlier when they visited the other house. Realizing they need more information, the group decides to do some research. Beth asks if anyone has books or notes that might help explain what is happening. While the others talk, Robert and Paul step aside for a private conversation. Around the same time, Nancy remembers that Robert's physicist brother left a book in the backseat of his car. Robert goes outside, retrieves the book, and brings it back into the house. As he flips through the pages, he discovers that it contains his brother's research. The notes discuss the possibility of multiple parallel worlds existing at the same time.
You guys know what Schrodinger's cat is? That two states continue to exist, each creating a new branch of reality based...
So we're collapsing on ourselves right now.
The group carefully reads through the material and starts discussing different possibilities. If the research is correct, it could explain the strange events they've been experiencing throughout the night. Bob comes up with an idea. He suggests taking the other group's copy of the research book so they can learn more. Robert quickly disagrees. He believes they should avoid interfering with the other versions of themselves and simply wait for the comet to pass. As the debate continues, Bob pulls Joshua aside for a private conversation. He worries that the other group might find the book first. Then he reveals a much bolder plan. If there really is another version of himself out there, he wants to use information from this situation to blackmail his double. Joshua thinks it's a terrible idea and tries to talk him out of it, but Bob seems determined to go through with his plan. Back at the dinner table, the woman with glasses wakes up after resting and says she has been feeling strange ever since taking the drops that Nancy offered earlier. This immediately raises concerns among the group. Beth asks Nancy if she secretly added the drug to their food.
I don't know if I'm woozy from the drops or if it's like...
What drops? Did you put any of that in the food?
The question quickly makes everyone nervous, and several people start questioning her.
Oh my God.
Yes, that would
Lee asked me for some.
Nancy insists that she did nothing like that and even shows them the bottle to prove it. The conversation then shifts to the possible side effects of the drug. Some people wonder if it could cause hallucinations. Even after everything that has happened, many of them still find it easier to believe they are hallucinating than to accept the idea that other versions of themselves might actually exist. Eventually, most of the group leaves the kitchen. Only Nancy, the woman with glasses, Beth, and Joshua remain behind. While talking, Nancy notices a small plant and comments on how nice it looks.
It's great.
It's such cute stuff.
This catches Beth's attention. She suddenly realizes that she remembers this exact moment happening earlier in the evening. The strange part is that, from Nancy's perspective, this is clearly the first time she has seen the plant. The odd feeling leaves Beth unsettled. Meanwhile, in the dining room, Paul and Robert are alone together. They pull out red glow sticks and gather the metal box along with all the items that were inside it. At that moment, Bob returns through the front door. Joshua stops him and asks where he has been. Bob casually explains that he went back to the other house. While they are talking, Paul and Robert quietly leave the house, taking the box and the research materials with them. It doesn't take long for the others to notice. Soon they realize that Paul, Robert, the box, and the books have all disappeared. The group starts discussing what to do next. Everyone agrees that somebody should go look for the missing men. Joshua volunteers immediately, but Beth stands in front of the door and prevents him from leaving.
It's fine, I'll be back.
I'm not gonna let you go.
Bonnie watches the exchange closely as the couple argues briefly before returning to the rest of the group. Bonnie then shares a theory. She suggests that the two men currently in the house might actually be alternate versions of their friends. If that's true, then they cannot automatically trust anyone they meet from the other house, especially since someone already took the clues and research materials. As the discussion breaks up, everyone spreads out around the house. Beth asks Bob if he has a photo of her and her boyfriend. Instead of answering right away, he leaves to look for more wine. When he returns, he hands Beth an envelope filled with photographs. At the same time, Joshua and Bonnie are talking alone in a dark hallway. During the conversation, Bonnie subtly flirts with him and eventually leans in to kiss him. However, he pulls away and doesn't go along with it. What neither of them realizes is that Nancy is standing farther down the hallway and sees the entire interaction. Later, Beth sits at the dinner table studying her notes. Nancy joins her and eventually tells her what she witnessed in the hallway. A few minutes later, Beth finds her boyfriend having a drink and confronts him. She explains that Nancy told her about what happened with Bonnie. Before the conversation can go much further, the power suddenly goes out again.
Some more important things to worry about right now. Jesus Christ!
Everyone gathers around the table and lights candles to see in the dark. Not long after, they hear a loud crashing sound from outside.
Whoa.
That was right out front.
When they go to investigate, they discover that one of the cars has a broken window. Beth walks over to her own car and opens a hidden compartment. Inside is a ring that her boyfriend had previously given her. Confused by everything happening, Beth asks her boyfriend if he knows anything about the broken car window. To her surprise, he seems genuinely confused and says he doesn't remember anything about it. As they continue talking, both of them slowly realize something disturbing. They are no longer speaking to the versions of each other they started the night with. Beth returns to the house and notices that everyone is already gathered inside. The group starts discussing the broken car window and tries to figure out why someone would have smashed it in the first place.
None of this makes any sense.
Before they can come up with an answer, they notice movement outside. Bonnie checks the door and sees Paul and Robert returning. The two men come inside, and Paul places the missing research book on the table. Robert begins explaining everything that happened while they were away, but he quickly realizes that the group already knows most of the story. Everyone compares what they know and finally confirms a theory they had been developing. The two men who returned to the house earlier in the night were not actually their friends. They were alternate versions from another house. Bonnie points to the bandage on Robert's forehead, and the woman with glasses notices that it is different from the one she originally put on him. For a moment, this creates more confusion. Paul quickly clears things up. He explains that they came from the house where everyone was using red glow sticks. To prove it, he and Robert show that they still have their blue glow sticks. This convinces the group that these are indeed the friends they know. As everyone settles down, Beth brings up the strange note that appeared earlier. Robert reveals that the people in the other house also ended up receiving mysterious notes. This realization changes everything. Until now, everyone assumed there was only one other version of their group. Now they understand that there could be many versions of them spread across multiple realities. To avoid more confusion, Beth suggests creating a system to identify their own group. Everyone agrees. They decide to assign themselves numbers using dice. They also take photographs of each person and pair the photos with personal items that can be stored in a box as a reference. Since there isn't already a photo of Paul, the group takes one on the spot and adds it to the collection. Once everyone has been assigned a number, Beth compares the numbers to the notes she has been keeping throughout the night. That's when she notices something strange. The notes she remembers writing in red marker now appear to be written in green marker, and some of the numbers are different. At the same time, she notices that Robert's phone is working normally. Earlier in the evening, his phone screen had been cracked and unusable. These small differences make Beth wonder whether she is still in the same house she started in. While she is thinking about this, Joshua walks into the room. A note suddenly appears under the door. Robert eventually takes the note and reads it aloud. The message claims that Bob had an affair with Nancy, who is Robert's wife. Not surprisingly, this leads to an argument between the two men. After some heated discussion, the situation eventually calms down.
There are a million different realities. I have slept with your wife in every one of them.
Oh my God! Are you okay?
Later, only Beth and Bob remain in the room. Without warning, another version of Bob enters through the door. He attacks Bob, knocks him unconscious, and quickly runs away before anyone else arrives. The noise brings the rest of the group back into the room. They find Bob lying unconscious and immediately focus their attention on helping him. While everyone is distracted, Beth quietly slips out of the house. She walks through the dark neighborhood, looking into different houses. Inside each one, she sees different versions of herself and her friends. Many of the groups appear to be arguing or dealing with their own problems. But eventually, she finds one house that seems different. Inside, everyone is relaxed and enjoying themselves. She sees another version of herself sitting happily with her boyfriend on a couch. Seeing a version of her life that seems happier makes her jealous and emotional. Beth walks around to the side of the house and finds a baseball bat. She then enters through the kitchen and takes Nancy's drug vial. Soon after, a loud noise causes the people inside the house to go outside and investigate.
Whoa. What the hell was that?
While they are distracted, Beth spots the other version of herself near the car. When the opportunity presents itself, she uses the drug vial to knock her unconscious and leaves her hidden in the vehicle. Beth then walks into the house and takes her other self's place. To fit in, she shows the engagement ring to the boyfriend in that reality. He recognizes it and kisses her, believing she is his version of Beth. Later that night, the group gathers outside to watch the comet pass overhead.
What's it doing?
While everyone is focused on the comet, Beth notices her alternate self entering the bathroom. She follows her inside, kills her, and takes the other woman's ring. She puts the ring on her own finger, cleans up the bathroom, and leaves her original ring behind near the sink. Not long after, Beth suddenly passes out. The next morning, she wakes up on a couch and immediately rushes to the bathroom. However, the unconscious body she expected to find is gone. Nancy has just finished showering, and everything appears completely normal. Feeling uneasy, Beth heads outside. Her boyfriend follows her and hands her a ring that was found earlier. At that exact moment, his phone starts ringing. The caller ID shows Beth's name. Confused, he answers the call. As he listens, he slowly realizes something important. The woman standing in front of him is not the Beth he has always known.